Big meaty man slapping meat.
Yo, what's poppin'? All my peeps, it is I, your host with the most, Renaissance man, who always thinks he can, and your champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, back once again in the Yard of Streams for another edition of the Raw Rewind, brought to you by Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show, where we take no nights off. And it's not just me, Patty P, here in the Yard of Streams. I'm joined, as always, by the best of the West. You can't forget about Sara Marshall. What's poppin', girl?
Hey, yo.
Hello.
What's poppin'?
Howdy.
Happy 4th.
Yeah.
Happy 4th.
Yeah.
We're back from the 4th.
What a great time to be alive.
It's a great time to be alive. We were just talking. What?
I would debate that, but
Your face says so much with little words. No, we were just talking about before we hopped in here, or before we went live, about when we were younger and how different it is now. You know, we're not on our phones. We didn't even have phones.
Yeah.
To go online on social media with. Your social media was your neighborhood, essentially. It was the kids you went to school with. It was the kids you played sports with, and you went to the park, you rode bikes, you were saying, you did everything mainly outside with human interaction. We don't have a lot of that now, which is sad.
No, I know. That's what makes me, it's like when you watch old wrestling matches or pay-per-views or whatever, and you just see so many camera flashes, or like everybody is literally tuned into what is happening because they're not staring at their cell phone or trying to get a photo or a video of the moment. That's why it's like, for me, with certain things like that, I get, like, you want to document your experience, and I'm not saying you shouldn't take photos or videos, but I like to try and live in what I'm doing. So, like, if I'm at a wrestling show, I really just want to pay attention and, like, soak in what's happening. I don't need to take photos that I'll never look back on. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
my thing. I don't look back at photos either. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I have photos of cool things that I show, friends and family, but like that's when I think of it. When example I'll give is when we were at WrestleMania 40. The greatest 5 minutes in wrestling history of return, whatever. I was frozen. I couldn't take out my phone if I wanted to because I was so engaged with what was going on, to the point where you have delusions of John Moxley returning because you hear the Shield music. In reality, it's Seth Rollins literally dragging himself to the ring so that Cody could finish his story. And it goes so much more beyond just the ring. Like, Seth was literally held together by glue and tape heading into that WrestleMania. But for the story, he like just so many things that, it'd be nice to go back and, take the video, but you can just go online and rewatch it again and have those same feelings come back. And that's what makes wrestling so unique, is that it brings back and ignites a feeling inside you that not many other things in life can.
Well, and you have the memory of it.
You do.
Like you were just talking about, you were just literally describing what happened, so it's like, you don't need the photo, I mean, I feel like a lot of it is almost like it's been instilled in our brain because of the rise of social media that if you don't take pictures or you don't take video, it didn't happen or you weren't there. So it's like you almost subconsciously do it because you're like, oh, wait, no, I was here. I need to document it. When in reality, you don't really need to do more than what you would normally do. It's like, okay, take some pictures with your friends, or, take a picture from your seat, something like that, or maybe your favorite wrestler comes out and you want to record it, something, I don't know, but I miss that aspect of life, I think, where it's just like more people are living in the moment. You don't go to a restaurant and everybody's like in a booth on their phone. It's like, no, just put your phone down. Like, you can not be on your phone for an hour. It's gonna be okay.
It's tough. It is tough nowadays. I'm constantly on my phone.
Yeah.
I was like, when I drive now, it's literally just like, it's bad. It's so bad.
Oh, see, I put my phone down.
I try to, but in my line of work, it's just with the calls and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like I live on my phone because of my job, and that's not good either.
I do during certain parts of the year because of my job, but
well, you have a cool job though. Like you cover the Patriots.
Well, yeah, but it's not always great to have to like check Twitter every 2 seconds because I refuse to put notifications on. Like when it's like free agency, I'm not putting Adam Schefter's tweets on to send it to me every single time something happens. I refuse to do that. I'm like, no, I'll just sit here and continue to refresh my feed, and that's how I'll see what happens.
I did do that for a while, but
yeah, I can't do that.
Still better than carrying 30 pounds of straight bass in your car. Anyways, let's hear what's going on with the peeps. Sophia went to Scituate.
That's right. That's how you say it.
That's how you say it? That's what I was just about to say.
It's not Scituate.
Try to say that.
Yeah.
It's Scituate, Mass. For 4th of July with her boyfriend, Alex, and his parents. Nice. Hope you guys enjoyed the fireworks. I didn't see any fireworks.
I got mad at people in our neighborhood setting them off, and I wanted to throw.
We have a dog too. That's tough. You have a zoo.
Yeah.
So David was popping. Bernard, how we doing?
Hello.
Good to see you. David did, yeah, he said that. Dickie's not too pleased about Evolution 2. Do you guys feel Raw and SmackDown have shifted to where SmackDown feels more like the more consistent show with better matches and consistent champions? Here's the thing. SmackDown, and before I throw it to you, I'll put what I think in a simple sentence. SmackDown is the wrestling show where Raw on Netflix is the sports entertainment. Like, if that makes sense.
I can agree to that to some extent. I think that part of what makes SmackDown maybe feel that way sometimes is because they have really good matches. You know, like I don't think that it's a show that a lot of the time I sit there and because I don't watch SmackDown live, sometimes I don't even watch it. So it's like, and that's the thing, like I want to watch Raw every single week, even if it wasn't a great one. Like I won't find out obviously until after it's done because I watch it live with everybody. But I think because they have, you know, like a really exciting tag team division. So when you see like Andrade and Rey Fenix versus Fraxium or whoever, yeah, you're like, oh my God, this is incredible. But that was one match on a 2-hour show. I don't know that trumps everything on Raw. However, I would say maybe over the last like 2 or 3 weeks, you could argue that there is some better stuff happening on SmackDown than on Raw. And I think the biggest issue that we've seen this year, which can be applied to both Raw and SmackDown, is there are way too many PLEs. Way too many. There is not enough time between them because then we get Saturday night's main event, you know, so it's like it'll be 4 weeks from one PLE to the next, but there's a Saturday night's main event in between, and it's like it's almost like every 2 to 3 weeks there's a PLE or something, like, you know, a Saturday night's main event. And so it's just like speeding everything up, and they're just not able to put together, like, I don't know, intriguing storylines or whatever that would make it more interesting to see that PLE. It's like this weekend there's so much happening, and a part of the reason why, you know, neither one might do that well is because it was only 2 weeks ago was Night of Champions. So
it was only 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So it's just a lot, you know.
There's a lot of content. More SmackDown's identity that was established in the early 2000s of classic matches, you know, with Eddie Guerrero, Edge, you know, redacted name, Kurt Angle. You know, that was the era of they're going to tell the story in the ring rather than with a microphone. And that's where SmackDown gained that as its identity, where Raw has always been what it is, and it's just been amplified over the years.
Well, and that's going to be a big difference between them right now because they're on different platforms. Like there's going to be different expectations with Netflix and USA Network, you know, like they might have more freedom on one, or they have to do certain things on one, or you know, whatever, and that's going to play a role in why the shows are not going to be as consistent or something like that.
What up, Anthony? How you doing? Good to see you, pal. Sarah, we're talking about Raw and SmackDown already. Let's just like dive into one of those shows at least with Raw. Before we start, how would quick thought, 1 out of 10. What did we think of Raw last night?
I would say like, I don't know, maybe like a 7. I feel like it was like, it was
8.
good, but it wasn't like great. You know, it's not one that I would be like, oh my God, I need to go watch this again, or, you know, to tell people you need to watch this. You know,
would you say it was a satisfactory go home show to the weekend that is Evolution Saturday's main event?
Not really.
Really? Oh, I thought so.
No, see, this is the thing. And we'll probably talk about it tomorrow, but I don't love the way that they've built up Evolution. And I know that Richard talked about it, saying, you know, they didn't have a great build. However, the matches do look good, but I don't like that. Basically, the only thing that we saw last night was a build up between the triple threat for the IC title. The fact that Io and Rhea got a video package is mind-boggling to me, because that's inevitably going to be the main event, and it shouldn't be. And you're doing a video package for it on the go home show. Like, what are we talking about?
See, I don't disagree with you. The only thing I'm going to say is that Liv's injury absolutely derailed the hype of the show.
And what I think is the most interesting part about that is the amount of people who wanted to trash her name over the past year or two, acting like the division is fine without her, or she's not that big of a part of the women's division like she thinks she is. She was a terrible champion. She's being carried by the Judgment Day, whatever the hell they wanted to say. And it's like, one injury forced them to rethink what they were going to do for the show, because she was involved in so many different storylines, feuds, rivalries, whatever you want to say, that they had to rethink the entire program. If she is not a pillar in the women's division after learning that, then what are you saying? Like,
exactly. You're saying it, you don't know what you can't have both. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Well, and it's totally fair if you're just not a fan of hers. And I think that that's the problem that I have. And I know that it's either, you know, amongst younger fans, because they just, you know, they don't know. Like my nephew loves Cody Rhodes, and he loved John Cena. But the second John Cena screwed Cody, he hates John Cena. It's like, it doesn't take much for the young fans.
It's working.
Yeah. But it's and then you can say, you know, there is a toxicity to the internet wrestling fan who cannot separate not being a fan of a wrestler and crediting them for being good at their job. Like they can't do that. They think it's like, if you don't like somebody, then you have to say they're trash, they're bad in the ring, they can't cut promos, they suck, this and that. It's like, no, it's totally possible to be like, hey, I don't like so-and-so, but, you know, I get why people like them. You know, they're really good in the ring. They had this great match over the weekend. Like, you can do that when it comes to Liv. You can say, yeah, no, she's come a long way. She's put in that hard work, you know, blah, blah, blah. You can do that. You don't have to say she sucks, because that's not true. It's just not true.
It's not true. It's not at all.
The video package definitely was well made. I think that they were trying really hard, though, in my opinion, that to build it up into this like heated rivalry that it's just not. It's just not. I think they were trying to really sell us that this is the main event and why it's the main event. But they have a history because they fought however many matches together, but there's no real hostility there. There was no hostility going into WrestleMania either. The hostility was between Rhea and Bianca. Io was treated as like an awkward third wheel in the entire situation, which was why it was shocking that she was able to win at Mania. And then this whole match came together by Io being like, I want to face the best. I want to face you, Rhea. And then Rhea's like, okay.
Do you find it interesting that Rhea has never beat
I know. Io? That's why she's winning. That's what I fucking hate.
Yeah. Or not. You never know.
No, I don't. Keep this going. It's Rhea. They don't give a fuck about Io at all. At all.
I disagree with that.
They don't. They're not going to let Io. They're going to be like, oh, she had her Mania moment. we'll give it to Rhea.
Bigger star.
Rhea's not losing, so which I think is boring because like I don't want to see her as champion again. The thing is like Io's run hasn't been great either, but it has nothing to do with her. It's the booking. It's like every time they put the title on her, they were just like, oh, we forgot to put her in a match again. Oh, we forgot to put the champion on TV again. Like it has nothing to do with what she does. It was like the second she started to get super over on this run, they took her off TV. The second that everybody started doing this and like people were chanting, they took her off TV. So I'm like, you're screwing it with her by your own actions. And like, that is something that irritates me. But anyway, we'll talk about Evolution tomorrow when we talk about our predictions. But anyway, so the show starts off with the Seth Riders. I guess that's what we're calling them because that's what everybody's calling them.
I'm a fan of the Seth Riders.
Which,
especially after seeing the video that I just sent you. Like,
yeah. If you're not aware, it's a play off the Death Riders in AEW. So if you're not aware,
John Moxley, the other member, like, it's so good. So good.
So we thought we were going to hear from Seth, but instead Braun Breaker takes the microphone and he goes off. We also then hear from Bronson Reed, which we'll talk about in a second. But something that I noticed throughout the show, I think it was literally throughout the show, like during this segment, backstage segment, the end of the show when he got stuck on the barricade, like we're seeing the more Steiner side of Braun Breaker, and I am so here for it because I think when he was in NXT, he was a really good babyface, and I do agree that they should have kept him the extra year like they did to turn him heel, which obviously set him up to be in this faction now. But I think they need to lean into this the way that they are, because we said one of the issues that might come across with him being a part of the Seth Riders is people liked him, even though they weren't supposed to. They were cheering for him. They were barking at him. So it's like, if you can kind of lean into that side that people are going to grab onto inevitably, like whether you try to get people to hate him or not, I think that is like the best case scenario for Braun.
Just make him angry. Yes. People just want to see angry Braun Breaker. Mm-hmm. What he cut last night is exactly what you said. Like the way he was saying, I don't like his beard. I don't like his stupid music. Like it was building up to like a temper tantrum. Mm-hmm. And just getting himself worked up. And Seth's just like, dude, you good, man? Like I love that dynamic. But he starts it off by saying, I'm in this group for one reason, and that's for Seth to help me be the face of the company and whatnot. And I liked when Seth looks at Paul like, where is this going? Like, this was not part of what was supposed to happen when we all came out here. But I loved Paul saying, like, no, let him do his thing. Let him do his thing. Let him cook.
Yeah.
And he just does his own little, it was awesome.
He does his Steiner thing. And that's the thing is, like, I think that you, like I said, you kind of have to lean into it because the fans are going to react how they want to react. It's especially nowadays where we have seen such a look behind the curtain, and then wrestlers are so much more available to us so we can see who they really are. We've talked about it too. It's really difficult to make legitimate heels nowadays where people actually hate them. If they were going to try to do that with Braun, it just wasn't going to work. That we already saw it wasn't going to work. So if you can lean into some of that likability with him, I think it makes him a little bit more interesting than them trying to act like he's this ass kicker who doesn't really say anything and like he leads or he follows Seth's lead. You know, it just, I don't know. I wouldn't buy it. Same thing with like Bronson Reed. I wouldn't buy it.
Yeah. I wouldn't buy it at all.
No. And then we also heard from Bronson Reed, as I said, but I thought this part was interesting. I thought this was interesting, and I wanted to point it out in case this is something that we revisit in the future, just because we know that there's these little tidbits that Triple H will do. And that's when he said that he wanted to tsunami respect into Sami Zayn, just like he did with Seth Rollins. Now, we know that when Bronson Reed was announced or presented as the next guy to be in Seth's faction, people were like, what the fuck? The last time we saw Bronson, he was like tsunamiing Seth. how is this going to work? This doesn't make sense. And then they told us it's like, oh no, he earned my respect. And obviously in Seth's case, it's like, I'd rather be friends with my enemy than enemies with my enemy. So it was better
the
enemy of my, whatever.
Well,
but
if the devil you know is better than the devil you don't type of situation.
Because he just wanted to be friends with him rather than be against him, which makes sense, right? Like he took him out of action for however long after those like 18 tsunamis. But the fact that he brought that up, I thought that was interesting because like he didn't have to mention that he did that to Seth Rollins. We remember. And you could have just said, I'm going to tsunami respect into Sami. You don't have to mention, oh, like we did with Seth. I don't know. That just stood out to me. It could mean nothing.
It could, but no, that's you're reading with a careful eye.
I try.
We have to as wrestling fans.
Yeah. That's what I feel like. I feel like you kind of have to pay attention to these little things.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
We didn't before. We really didn't before.
Well, and if you did, it just meant nothing anyway. You know what I mean? So you'd be like, this could mean something. And then it was like, no, you're an idiot. Like, why did you even care about that happening? And it was like, no, okay.
He's going on his own time. So
yeah. So there's just like little moments like this where I'm like, okay, this is curious. Like, I want to remember this, So I don't know. Something to definitely pay attention to, I feel like. We'll see if it comes to anything. But okay, our chat does not like this group at all.
Right up here, bud. Like right there.
Richard does not like the Death Riders because Death Riders are bad.
But... All right, listen, the Death Riders fucking rule. All right, don't you dare disrespect the Death Riders.
Yeah, he still doesn't think there's any chemistry. Neither does Anthony. Anthony says the group just doesn't mesh like Evolution or the Bloodline. And Evolution, Triple H, and Flair just fed off each other when they were on screen. Same with Roman and the Usos. And then Sami came in. It feels more like Seth and two bodyguards than an actual group. So I saw Richard mention the Bloodline too. We can't use the Bloodline. We cannot use the Bloodline.
You can't use the Bloodline.
They were
fucking family.
They grew up, so they're gonna grew up together. So they're gonna have that instant chemistry that cannot be replicated by three dudes that just worked at the same company. I mean, I understand that it's not going to appeal to everybody, obviously. So like your guys' criticisms are totally valid. I do think that they try to address that. Like me and Pat talked about it before we went live. I feel like the Bronsons having these moments at the start of Raw was kind of meant to address some of the issues that the fans are having with this group not gelling to some. And so it felt like, Braun was there and he's saying why he's in the group and why he believes in Seth and why he's following him. Bronson did the same thing. So it was kind of like filling in those gaps that people felt were there in regarding why these two joined up with Seth and Paul. I think that we just need more time. I think that it feels, I still honestly believe in my heart that a big reason why some people feel like this isn't this group, this elite group like they want us to believe, is because of Roman's absence. I 100% believe that because I think
I would go another reason, but okay.
Well, okay, I would say part of it is because of Roman, because we still haven't seen any payoff for Paul Heyman turning on Roman. We haven't seen any payoff for Seth stomping Roman. We could very easily see, what they did last night too. Seth send his dogs in on Roman all the time. Like that's going to show cohesion within the group.
Yeah.
And then that's going to make it easier to believe that like Seth is with these guys, like it could very easily be replicated the way that they did with the Shield.
Yeah.
But they can't do that because Roman is off having babies and then working on a movie. So
see, I don't see that. Like, I feel like the people are trying to compare it to like an Evolution, and that's not what this is. Yes, it's in the same vein where it's three guys around one.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's so different because it's not about the luxury and like that type. There's one. Like, I see it more as Seth. Like, Seth's not champion yet.
Well, and
like,
I think...
And it's different, too, with this type of stars. Like, Braun Breaker is not, Randy Orton. Like, they're so different.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. We have NXT now. You know, when Randy first came in, no one knew Randy Orton. They only knew that his father was Cowboy Bob Orton. You know what I mean? He didn't have him in NXT for 3 years beforehand. So it was like, yeah, this 24-year-old kid is like coming out here. It made sense that he was being led by these guys. But Braun, we've known who he is.
They're both monsters. That's the big difference. Is that they're both monsters next to Seth Rollins, and the wise man is not getting in the ring anytime soon. He's more of kayfabe council type of thing, where like that's completely different than Evolution.
I do think this comment is interesting because this sounds like Ethan Page.
Yeah, like the only person I saw Ricky Saints, and I didn't like that at all. I did love Ethan Page though.
I don't know. Rating Jaguars that the whole group doesn't make sense. They are supposed to be a heel faction, but 2 of the 3. I know this is why I said I was kind of surprised that they made them this group, because I was like, Seth is still getting cheered, and so is Braun.
They're going to the crowds. They're Sarah. We know this about the fans.
No, I know.
Fickle. They're fickle.
Fucking fickle.
Anthony says Triple H is trying to recreate that though with Seth. He wants another bloodline type group that is full time now that Roman can't do the job anymore. I think so that he won't do that job anymore. But I feel like, I don't know. I'm not saying that what Seth is doing right now is perfect. I'm not saying that at all, because I see Trainer Red agrees, like he doesn't like it either. And I'm not saying that it's gonna get any better. I don't know. However, I'm gonna give it time just because of who's in the group. I'm not gonna like check out because like I am enjoying like these. I like these 3 guys individually, so I want to believe. I mean, maybe that's the optimistic side of me, that I just want to believe that they're going to be good. But I like I said, I still think that Roman's absence is playing a role in this, and people don't have to agree. But yeah, I think part of it is maybe Roman's extended absence forced them to try and rethink, how do we want to go about this group and what their mission is or whatever. And we know that they don't seem to do very well on short-term notice, you know? So I don't know. We'll have to see.
We shall see.
Okay. Anyway, so sorry, I was like reading the comments. So Judgment Day, they continue to get all the screen time on Raw. We first saw them in the clubhouse with all of their titles, because every single member of the Judgment Day has gold now. We saw they were mourning the loss of Liv Morgan as if she died, which that was weird.
My God. It was so funny. I don't know what I popped so hard. Like Raquel's reaction to the photo without a title, by the way. Keep that in mind. Talking about little details. They picked a photo with her not holding a championship, and Raquel's reaction of, "Gosh, she's not dead.
Yeah, she didn't die."
But Finn just be like, "Well, no, it's so we keep her in our presence, like she's around, her spirit, like."
Boy, bye. Him cheesing hardcore, like as Raquel is talking. I'm like, Finn, calm down, Finn. But like, I am obsessed because he's so funny. So. I mean, I think this was interesting. Obviously, we're still seeing somewhat hesitance from Dom to be like completely bought into what they're doing, obviously, because he still has love for Liv, and we're not sure how that's going to go either. I really hope that they don't do Liv dirty again, but we'll see. But one thing I thought was interesting that I saw on Twitter, I think, was somebody pointed out, which, I mean, you know, when you're watching this, you hear it, but like you don't necessarily think about it beyond what was being said, is that Finn said that he was out for 8 months when he had shoulder surgery, which I thought was longer than that. It's crazy that it might have.
I don't think it was. It had to be.
I think it was
longer than that. It was way longer.
Well, and the thing is he fucked his shoulder up way more than I assumed Liv did, because he popped it back into socket, it came back out, and then he put it back in and continued to the match.
Just kept doing it. Yeah,
he did way more damage to his shoulder than Liv did. But somebody made a point saying, okay, this either means Liv is coming back sooner, which, I mean, they already said 6 months, and I'm like, so do they think she'll be back before 6 months, or do they think it'll be? I still love the Rumble. being that moment for
I
her.
think the Rumble would be great. I mean, just always.
She's coming back as a babyface, and I'm just
It'd be better for her to come back to the Rumble than Survivor Series too. Like, you're gonna have at WrestleMania at there. Okay, this is gonna sound bad, but hear me out. They don't need her right now.
No, I mean,
I think they'll be okay, like with everything going on.
Well, I think that
they have a top star with Rhea.
Well, true, but she was involved in so many things that I feel like it would have been cool to see the end of that. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, she had an Evolution match against Nikki and or the Bellas. She was involved with Io trying to get another women's world title shot. She had the women's tag team titles. Like, she had so much going on. So, like, seeing the payoff of that would have been cool. But I do think that, like, her return will be good because I think she can come back as a babyface as long as they go about this the right way. And I don't necessarily think that Dom leaving her for Roxanne is the best idea. But
no, I don't like that either. Like, I think Dom won't be into it, but like she'll help Dom and they'll be like friends to a point, and then there's gonna be a moment when Roxanne goes over the line, and then Dom's like, no. And then like there's some weird tension, and then you bring Liv back.
I want to see him fight against what Roxanne will probably try to do. And I want the tension to come from him not accepting her advances, like even Finn doesn't like it because obviously we know Finn and Liv don't like each other. I want to see Dom build off of that, and it'd be interesting to see Dom as a babyface with Liv. I feel like that could be cool. And then you could also have heel Roxanne and heel Finn against those two. Like, to me, this seems more interesting than just like repeating the same storyline for the third time. You know?
I don't hate that.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah. I didn't read the comments. I was like, yes. That's what I think is good because Finn and Liv have had these problems, you know, for months. Basically not immediately after, but pretty soon after Finn got her into the Judgment Day, because they both want to be the alpha, obviously. Finn is the reason why Roxanne is around, so it makes sense for them to still be the bad guys. And given that Dom is still fighting Roxanne, by this point when Liv was coming around, we were already seeing way more between them than we have between him and Roxanne. So that's why I'm like crossing my fingers that they're not going to duplicate that story that we've already seen, because I feel like Liv and Dom as a pair are so good.
They are unbelievable. Their chemistry is awesome.
So good.
I love seeing them every week. Back and forth. Banter, it's great.
Yeah, no, I hope they stay together. And they're actually getting Finn is such a troll. I'm so here for it though.
He's the fucking best.
I'm obsessed. Lots of love for Judgment Day.
What about troll AJ Styles just lurking in the clubhouse?
I know that too, which that was hilarious. And then Dom whipping out the doctor's note, being like, "I still have a doctor's note.
I still have it. I
still can't wrestle." And I was like, okay, I like that they're
so
not
good.
It's reminding us that that's still lingering, because in, you know, however many years ago, they would be like forgetting that ever happened, you know? So I like that we're still getting that AJ Styles and we're still getting Dom, because I think there's an argument to be made that Dom should vacate the title if he can't wrestle, right? They do that with everybody else, but they're not going to with him.
They'll
so
build
keep
that up,
getting that reminder. It's like, okay, cool. We're not acting like this is completely dead. But sticking with the women, we have officially found out who the Raw tag team will be for the Fatal 4-Way Women's Tag Title, whatever you want to call it, at Evolution. Kairi Sane beat Roxanne, and then because of that, Raquel and Roxanne were beating up Kairi, and then Asuka came out to save the day. So the Kabuki Warriors were reunited, and Adam Pearce said, "How about you guys are the Raw team for the tag title match?"
Thanks.
So we know that they will be facing Roxanne and Raquel, Charlotte and Alexa, and Sol, Ruka, and Zarya at Evolution. I know. I think somebody in the chat said Kabuki Warriors.
It is Kabuki Warriors.
No, I'm saying somebody like a week or two ago when they announced that this was going to be happening, somebody said the Kabuki Warriors, and I think we said no, it's gonna be somebody else. But because we thought it was going to be the Dungeon Dolls. That's what we thought.
I was really hoping. I mean, that's just hope right there. Yeah. I like and understand why it's a Kabuki Warriors. Makes a lot more sense. The fan in me really would have liked to see them get in there, but
I'm here for this because one of my biggest issues with the women's tag team division that I've said it so many times is that they keep putting random people together and that there aren't legitimate tag teams. And so I like that the Kabuki Warriors are a legitimate tag team, even if it came together at a weird time. And, you know, obviously Asuka is good enough on her own. She doesn't need to be in a tag team. It's better than Charlotte and Alexa being a tag team, you know, like, so
I like where Alexa.
I'm not saying I disagree. Going. I'm just saying it's a very random pairing is all I'm saying.
It is, but they're doing well. They're doing well so far.
But I do agree with Richard that this match is stacked. So, I mean, I do like this. I liked the idea from the get-go when they said, okay, there's going to be a Raw team, a SmackDown team, and an NXT team. I loved that idea because you're really showcasing like a broad spectrum of women. So I do like that. And I think that this could be a good match. It could be a little sloppy because multi-people matches can be like that. But I do think that this has the potential to be like really good. And yeah, this I think is part of the problem. He says it feels like WWE aren't willing to invest in a women's tag team anymore unless a top women's star is in it. And yeah, I feel like that's why I feel Alexa and Charlotte probably got put together is because they didn't have anything for them for Evolution, but they were like, we can't have Evolution without Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. So let's put them in a tag team together, even if it's.
Well, what else is Charlotte doing?
No, I think that's fair. I'm not arguing.
Yeah,
because she's not in the women's title picture. The only problem I'll have maybe is if she wins, because then it's like, of course, you get put in a new title situation. Then you walk out the champion in your first match.
Oh,
but
could you imagine the dynamic between Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, though?
It's going to be interesting.
That's all right. That's something for Charlotte to do without a championship. You can dive deeper into Charlotte and Ashley, like after all the shit that came out today, which we'll definitely talk about more tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, you want to go into a more personal side in wrestling. Well, this is the opportunity to do it with Alexa Bliss, who has done stuff so out of the box, so in your feels, so, you know, happy-go-lucky to dark and gory, like.
And I think this is something really different for Charlotte.
Very different.
So I think she's definitely trying to get people on her side. We'll talk about that, like you said, tomorrow, but yeah, this is an interesting timing for sure. And as I said, we're going to be going live tomorrow instead of Thursday this week. And we'll be talking about Saturday night's main event and Evolution
and
All In.
Damn right.
And maybe the Great American Bash. I don't know. It's a lot.
There's so much this weekend. We'll talk a little bit Great American Bash, but no, it'll be more like. Let's go. We're gonna be having some all-in predictions. I have some all-in predictions.
I have all-in predictions because last time I got them all correct on the last pay-per-view. So I want to see if I can.
All right.
What was it? All Out or whatever it was? What was the last one?
Double or Nothing.
Double or Nothing. Okay. Yeah, that's the one I got. All right. Anyway, so as we know, Chad Gable recently had shoulder surgery. We have no idea how long he's going to be out. They did not tell us, and that means El Grande Americano is also gone, but we're supposed to be like, no, wait, no, he's not.
He's not, Sara.
Right? He's not. So I'm kind of curious about how people feel about this because I feel, or from what I saw, it was very split online with the reaction to this and then the reaction to the match, which we'll talk about in a second. But American Made basically confirmed that Chad Gable is El Grande Americano. And I loved that Adam Pearce was not letting it happen.
Oh, I loved it.
Because all of the moments like leading up to, I guess, this moment, right? Like Pearce and other people were like, yeah, dude, we know it's Gable. Like, we know it's Gable. And they were like, no, it's not. And now the tables have turned.
Now the shoe's on the other foot.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious how you feel about them doing that. Like, do you hate that they, basically said they confirmed it,
No, I mean, let's be real here. Like,
we're not dumb.
No. Let's step behind the curtain a little bit. Obviously, it's Chad Gable, but if we're now going back in front of the curtain, I love that now that the shoe is on the other foot, Adam Pearce can say, well, no, it's not. I would have liked to see him try. I think it was Brutus Creed. Is who I would have liked him to start to like get his point out and be like, come on, like we know. And then Ivy or Julius slap and be like, and play along again, like, oh, all right, well, like, I guess we should then help him to ringside, like, play more into that would have been nice.
Yeah.
But the fact that there's still like management, we'll say, is playing along with the bit, like that's enough for me to enjoy this still.
I kind of wonder how Chad Gable feels about it. Like, I'm curious.
That's what I mean. That's what I want to know what Chad Gable's thinking about this when he comes back or something,
Well, and that's why Brother Nero is here.
It's not comfortable.
The bad guy said that this should end with Kaiser versus Gable, with Kaiser getting unmasked. I feel like that would be pretty hilarious.
I think that would be.
It just also depends on how long Gable's out, because this is something that I feel like might not work for a very long time. So let's say he's out for 6 to 8 months or something, because I mean, a shoulder surgery is intense, right? I don't know how long this bit of Kaiser being him is going to work. I would have to see how they kind of like progress with it, if they can make it a little bit more interesting, kind of like what you said. Maybe if they have American Made buy into it and like we keep pretending like this is the original El Grande Americano, then that kind of makes it possible. But I think right now it's still a little bit too jokey to last maybe until Chad comes back. But it could be interesting also to do the like
that's what I was gonna
Cara and faux Cara thing.
You could do that. I was listening to CVV and he was saying, what if you had a guy like Omos dress up as El Grande Americano, like someone like absurd like that, and everyone is just El Grande Americano, and then Chad Gable
just
comes
like
back.
Changes every couple months.
But like, and it's a whole bit so that when Gable comes back and he's like, oh, like El Grande Americano is back too, like we're all good. And then everyone's like, what do you mean? He's been killing it for the past 4 months. Like he had a title match, like he was in a battle royal. And then that's like when Gable like play with the bit. There's something there where there's enough interest from the fans and us even talking about it, where the story's not completely dead yet.
Well, and I think the biggest question about that will come out of this, I mean, is why is Kaiser doing this? That's the thing that I think we need to find out, and they better have a good reason for it. Because it's funny right now, and it's like ha ha ha, like what can happen, or we're kind of thinking about what they could do in the future when Gable comes back and how they could end this cosplaying. But I do think that we need to figure out why Kaiser did this, because there was literally no reason for him to do it. So it's like, are they going to address that? Are they going to give us a legitimate reason? Is it going to be Gable hired Kaiser to do it, something? But then again, what does Kaiser get out of it? That is what I feel like they need to address, because right now it doesn't feel
like
beneficial.
Yeah, like imagine if R-Truth was still doing it. Like maybe that's the reason, like it's just being paid off. I don't know.
I don't know. I it is what it is. I like Kaiser, so I don't I don't know. I don't want this to be a long-term thing personally, just because I feel like he's too talented to be put into this position, which to me, if we're thinking about like the Vince era, this feels like a punishment to me. This feels like the Stardust thing. This feels like what they did with Sheamus by making him, King Sheamus and whatever, Xavier Woods, like that kind of stuff. It feels like a punishment. And I don't think that's what it is, obviously, but that's how it comes off. And I think Kaiser is too good to be held back by something this silly. So I really hope that whatever it happens at the end, it needs to be good. It needs to make sense. It needs to elevate Kaiser, because this ain't it, in my opinion. Anthony says, I still don't know if I hate everything about this Grande Americano stuff or I love how goofy it is. I'm still undecided. That's how I feel too. I don't think I'm as into it. I don't think I was ever really into it. I feel like it was kind of funny at first, but now I'm just kind of like, especially now that it's Kaiser. I'm just kind of like, I mean, I'm happy that he's on TV. I'm happy that he's getting time in matches. But other than that, I'm not really like bought into it. There's no, I don't think it's serious, like I think it made sense for Gable at the time, but I don't know if it necessarily does now. But since we did talk about Evolution, I wanted to touch on this briefly. We knew that Nikki looked like she was going to be having a match at Evolution with Liv Morgan, could potentially spin out into Bella Twins versus Raquel and Liv for the women's tag team titles. And once Liv got injured, we knew, okay, well, that's not happening anymore. But Nikki has been absent since that episode. And so we were like, all right, well, does that mean she's not going to be on Evolution? What happens? And no, our guess was correct. She will be in the Battle Royal, but they're definitely featuring her in a way that they haven't done with anyone else. Because I think it's fair to assume that there's going to be other legends that show up to be in the Battle Royal. Hopefully not that many, because I'm like, I don't want the Battle Royal to feel like a joke, and there are big stakes for whoever wins. They get a title match at Clash in Paris. So it's not just like the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal where like, oh, cool, they walk away with a fake trophy. Like I don't want it to feel like that. So, yeah, Nikki will be there and I really hope she doesn't win. It's not just because I'm not a Bella fan, but
oh no, with what's on the line, I totally get it. What do you think? What do you think of Victoria, Michelle McCool, and other legends not getting Kelly not getting a call?
Is that confirmed?
Yeah.
I am okay with it. I might be in the minority because I don't know how people feel about it. I have said that if they were ever going to do another Evolution, and now they're doing it, I think that having some legends around would be fine, but they can be around in like a backstage capacity. They do not need to be taking up spots in matches, because I think that the whole point of the original Evolution was to show that the women have come such a long way that they can have their own show, that they can put on great matches. Like, they look at where they started and where they are now. Look at who paved the way for these girls who are the future. They're not in a place right now where they need to plug in legends into matches to make the show more entertaining. Their women's division on Raw, on Smackdown, and NXT are loaded with incredible talent, future faces of the company. Like, they do not need to have all of the girls that they had in the original Evolution to be involved now. That's just my opinion. Like, I would much rather see like the current group of girls be pushed as like the future, and that's kind of like what Evolution is, like if this was something they were doing every year, sure, maybe throw in a legend in or a couple more. But the fact that it's been 5 to 7 years, whatever it was, since the first one, no,
7 years.
We need to see the progression of where they were then, and where they are now. They don't need a Ronda Rousey to get people to watch. They do not need Nikki Bella to be in the main event, because it's fine if it's Io and Rhea. It's fine if it's Becky, Bayley, and Lyra. Like, that's totally fine. I prefer that.
I'm with you. I pretty much concur with everything you said.
And like I said, I don't know if that's like the general feeling amongst people. And I think if they don't feel that way and they want to see more legends, to me, I would chalk that up to be more about nostalgia than actually feeling like we need these girls on the show. You know what I mean? Because I don't think it's unfair to not have Kelly or to not have Michelle McCool when they've been in almost every single Royal Rumble since the women's Royal Rumble became a thing.
Yeah, and she's a coach on LFG, so
yeah, I mean,
maybe like highlight her in appearance, like, oh, she's there, but like,
Yeah, and that's the thing is like if they can add something to the show, you know, like if they're like praising the girls the way that they even had Nikki on the show a few weeks ago where she was like talking to the girls backstage and stuff, it was like, yeah, her presence was good enough in my opinion, you know. Her being in the Battle Royal totally fine as long as she doesn't win, as I said. But I don't think they don't need them in the same way that they used to need them, which is a good problem to have. You would think that people would be like, no, I'm grateful that the women's division has come such a long way in the last 7 years that they don't have to put in Lita, Ivory, Michelle McCool, Kelly, Nikki Bella, whoever. Like, they don't need to put all of them in matches because you're not going to watch otherwise, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. There's more talent now, right? And great talent that should be highlighted.
The chat thinks that the winner of the Battle Royal is either going to be Stephanie Vaquer or Nikki.
I hope that's my girl. That's my favorite.
That is my queen.
Women's wrestler right now. Is Stephanie Vaquer.
So we also wanted to talk about this was hashtag We Want Cross, which a video went viral of the Rhode Island crowd chanting We Want Cross. We got him in multiple segments last night. He had that interview segment where he started making out with Scarlett. I don't blame him. And then he also attacked Sami. And of course I think he got a backstage segment or an interview or whatever.
No, he got an interview. He attacked Scarlett, came by and was making eyes at Jackie Redmond, who wouldn't. And then Cross came out and attacked Sami right before the match, which led Braun Breaker to annihilate him. And then he was in the interview. We mentioned that the crowd chanting "We Want Cross."
Were you not?
But there was a backstage one.
I said all of that.
No, not backstage, like on the show, like after the show was going on. Happened.
That's what I said at the beginning. Silly. I said that the We Want Cross, the Providence, the Rhode Island crowd was chanting "We Want Cross." That's what I said.
No, I know, but it happened after the show too.
Oh, well, anyway, the We Want Cross movement is getting hot.
In full effect.
And I was kind of surprised. I mean, I'm not like super surprised because again, this is another situation where not everybody is going to be fans of Karrion Kross. But I guess I was kind of surprised about how many people were negatively reacting to him being on TV or hearing the crowd chant "We Want Cross," and people were like, "God, no, please don't do it. Don't push him." And I'm like, again, like I get it. I sit here and I'm like, oh God, Jey Uso, you know. But like the thing is
the IWC will never be happy.
No, it's going to happen. And again, as I've said, people pick and choose when certain things matter. And the biggest thing that they have against Cross is they feel he's not a very good in-ring talent. You don't care about cheering for your Yeet Master. So you can't.
I hate the IWC.
You cannot complain about Cross's in-ring ability when your favorite wrestler is Jey Uso. I'm just saying. But I'm kind of hoping, you know, just because I do think that Karrion Kross is such a compelling character. If we're not even going to talk about the in-ring ability, which I don't even think he's as bad as people think he is. I think that strap match has left a lot of people, left a bad taste in people's mouths, which I'm like, I don't know if I've ever seen a good strap match, if we're being honest. But even Drew versus Punk wasn't good. But whatever.
No, it takes a lot. Like the older strap matches are definitely better than the newer ones.
Yeah. But I hope that they keep going with this. Because there's something there with Kross and Sami. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if Sami eventually, joins the dark side. I don't know what this is, but I'm intrigued enough to keep seeing it. And I'm hoping that because they did feature Kross multiple times on this show, that means that they're buying into it as well.
Yeah. I hope they are too. They keep with this and not just be fickle like they usually are. So
yeah, because I know that they don't like to, or they they claim that they don't like to do what the fans want, and we know that's kind of a lie because they're the reason that you're selling tickets and merch and whatever. But you also don't want them to hijack the show, and the longer that you keep not doing anything with Cross, the more they're going to keep chanting "We want Cross" and complaining online. So you either do something about it or you try to shift their attention to elsewhere, and clearly that's not working right now. And that's why we get the "We want Cross." Which, as you already alluded to, it helped Sami get, he did. So Sami was written off TV, and I haven't seen anything about there being a point to it beyond storyline purposes. Because he was just off TV not too long ago. So I assume that this isn't like, oh, he needs a vacation, No,
I think this is pure story.
Yeah. I'm intrigued to know what happens when he comes back, because he's involved in multiple things. He got taken out by Cross, but this match he got taken out by the Seth Riders. So it's like, when he comes back, what is he going to address first? Who does he have the biggest beef with? What direction are they going to go in with him? Especially because SummerSlam is not that far away. Is he going to be back by SummerSlam? Is he not? I don't know.
I'd like to see Karrion Kross get into a match at SummerSlam and win. And if it's with Sami Zayn, it's with Sami Zayn, and he defeats Sami Zayn.
Well, they might hold off until Clash in Paris, because SummerSlam is like the first weekend of August.
So August 2nd and 3rd.
Weeks. Yeah, and then Clash in Paris is later that month. So they might hold off. But it really depends on how much they're going to try to sell his injury,
Mm-hmm.
And how much time they think that they need to, if we're talking about Karrion Kross in this instance. You hope that if that's the end game here, that they do something interesting with Karrion in the meantime, because it'll be very easy to forget about him if you're not doing anything because Sami's off TV.
Yeah, keep him fresh. You got to keep him fresh in people's minds.
Yeah. The bad guy said he already missed Mania. Sami did, so it would suck if he missed SummerSlam too. Yeah. It's possible. I just feel like, I guess if he were to go against Cross, it wouldn't feel as rushed, but that would mean that he basically only misses 2 weeks. So that's why I would be kind of like, And
he did say indefinitely too.
Yeah.
When Paul Heyman.
That feels longer than 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to what should be the Evolution main event.
Should be the they were throwing haymakers in that promo.
But first of all, guys,
Becky
welcome.
is queen.
Yeah, I know. First of all, you're welcome for predicting this match like a month and a half before it was announced. You're welcome. You're welcome. I
gotta give you credit there.
Second of all, thank you. It is official that Becky will take on Lyra and Bayley for the Women's Intercontinental Championship at Evolution. And the way they have gone about this feud and this story is main event written all over it. I'm sorry, but like when we're talking about the epitome of what you want in a main event match, this has everything. And I think it trumps the story between Io and Rhea. Like, I understand maybe putting the Women's Intercontinental Championship as the main event over the Women's World title match is not ideal for people, because it's like, what are you saying? However, Triple H himself has said the main event of shows will be whatever is the best story. You cannot tell me that the Rhea versus Io story is better than what we have seen between Becky, Lyra, and Bayley. You would be lying. And so would WWE if they don't make it the main event. And I'm kind of bummed because I don't think they will.
I agree with everything you say about that. It absolutely should be the main event, in my opinion. The only thing I'll counter with, to your point, is that it's just be Rhea. Rhea's the star. Like, that's why. It doesn't matter, but like that's
so dumb to say, because are we saying that Becky is not a star?
No,
Bayley's not a star?
No, she's not. I totally agree, but that's
this
logic.
is the thing, though.
I am on your side.
They're
it
not
should main event, but
I'm not saying that this is a thing necessarily, but there is a group of fans that are going to say Rhea will never defeat the Rhea Hogan accusations if she takes the main event spot. You know what I mean? Like, the more that they keep catering to her in a way that feels just too much, it's like there could be a day where they turn on her. We've seen it. It's like a tale as old as time in wrestling. Like, somebody that just becomes like too shoved down your throat, the fans just organically turn on them because they get sick of it. And I'm not saying that will necessarily happen with Rhea, but if we're supposed to believe Triple H at his word, because this was when he said this, he was defending why the women's match did not main event at WrestleMania. You cannot then walk back on your word when you're talking about the all women PLE, because yeah, it's the women's world title match. It's Rhea Ripley and it's Io Sky. Holy moly. Like, yeah, they should main event. But if we're talking about storyline, this is the match that should be main eventing. And there's no reason why it shouldn't be. It also got an entire segment on the show instead of a video package. So, like, that right there tells you why it should be the main event.
It should. Exactly should be the main event.
Yeah.
Like, everything they say, like the detail, like with what the promo last night, Becky going in, like Lyra then coming back and being like, quit your whining, and how it's all connected. Agreed.
It's too good, you know?
It is
like,
way too good.
And Bayley has been around long enough that, you know, being forced to miss Mania, like, it would be really cool to see her main event the PLE that she's been pushing to have again for the last 7 years. It would be really cool if they could reward her in that way, because I can't imagine how difficult it was for her to be okay with getting booted off of Mania.
I know. No, especially a good soldier like Bayley.
Yeah. And so I feel like I don't even know that I would be satisfied if they tried to say it was like a co-main event. Like, I don't want that. Just go with what we
you gotta
want.
go all in.
Yeah, do it. And I know, you know, the chat is agreeing. It's not going to happen, but, you know, whatever. We can hope, I guess. All right, moving on to Bronson Reed versus Jey Uso. And I thought this was funny. So, yeah, the match was going fine. Jey had to get his moves in, of course. And at one point, he looks like he is going to get himself disqualified by clearing the commentator's desk and then using one of their chairs as a weapon. Well, kind of like a weapon, but it was like an added thing for him in the match. And then I thought this was so funny when Bronson just like chucks it at his face. And then he gets DQ'd. And I'm like, how is that fair when Jey is the one who introduced the chair?
Some Eddie Guerrero lie, cheat, steal type shit, Sarah.
I was just like, hey, brother.
I love that spot where they get whacked by not a regular chair, but like an announcer's chair like this. Like, he got Bronson Reed yeeted the chair. Adam,
he
like
showed
that.
him a different kind of yeet.
Like, you know? That's those are spots I love.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great.
Oh, geez. But I wasn't sure if, like, so something I didn't love, I guess, is just because if you're referencing like the beginning of the show and Bronson said he was going to tsunami respect into Jey, we then saw Braun Breaker take out Sami. I was kind of hoping we were going to get the same thing from Bronson on Jey, but he only got in one or two tsunamis, and then he just decided he was done. I was like, I don't love that, because if you're going to live up to what you said at the top of the show, you would have kept getting in that ring and doing it to Sami the way that he did to Seth and the way that he did it to other guys. Like, he was pushing security away and tsunamiing the shit out of those guys, and he just said he walked away after two.
That's all it needed.
I didn't love that. But also, does this mean that did they write Jey off too? Like, are they having Jey off TV now?
Just a little break. I had that feeling going into the match, watching it, that, all right, they're taking out the good, they're taking out the heroes, the crowd favorites and all this, so that they can reign over WWE. So,
and come back in time for SummerSlam. So it'll be like Sami and Jey versus the Bronsons or something.
That feels like a Saturday night's main event.
I know, but like, they don't have anything else for Sami and Jey right now. Maybe
they're not on the SummerSlam card, which was
I don't know. That seems crazy, but I don't know. I don't know. I do not know. And then something that didn't happen on the show, but it was confirmed by McAfee, which I'm not complaining. But anyway, McAfee said that his absence from WWE is set to continue, that he was dealing with exhaustion because he has to host and produce the Pat McAfee show 5 days a week. And then, of course, flying to be on Raw and all the other things that he's doing on top of family life. So his absence from the commentary desk is set to continue. And I know that I'm not a fan of McAfee, but this is the type of thing that I feel like is so weird about life. It feels like this was the perfect time for this to happen because Corey Graves has gotten such a wave of support.
He's crushing it. He is doing a really good job in McAfee's absence.
You know what else I've noticed? Okay, so other than I think that commentary is a lot easier to listen to, and I get it. I'm not a McAfee fan, so like I'm going to enjoy commentary that does not have him on it. But I do feel like, as I've said the last few weeks, that commentary hasn't been a distraction, which I think is a problem because it's there to like help you or to like add to the match, but it shouldn't be like distracting you. And I feel like that's kind of what happens. But also, even though Cole and Graves are, supposed to be different character commentators, I like that we don't get a lot of their personal opinion in things because when they were talking about the Gunther Goldberg thing, which we'll talk about in a minute, we didn't have to listen to like basically like fuck Gunther, blah, blah, blah. Like we didn't have to listen to that. And that's the kind of commentary that I like. Like you can have Cole being like, oh, I want to see Goldberg. He's great. And you can have Graves being like, oh no, Gunther, that's the ring general. He's going to retain. That's fine. But the level that they take it when it's Cole and McAfee, like I don't enjoy that. And again, might be my old school thinking, but I really am not disliking McAfee's absence. I'm actually enjoying Graves, I think, a lot more than I ever have, which might be on purpose from him, by the way.
I miss McAfee, but not to the extent of please come back. The show needs you. It doesn't. Corey Graves is doing a fine job. Personal preference. I think McAfee adds a little bit of a different vibe to the show. From back in the day, I would say a PG version of Jerry the King Lawler, just with his excitement, not his horniness. Like McAfee just is high energy dude. You know what I mean? Like he just loves to get the crowd going, all that.
But the thing is the commentary is for the crowd at home. So that's the thing is like we aren't picking up on that energy that you have because you're in the building. And so that's why it's like sometimes it's just way too much. It's too much.
Okay. Personal preference.
That's just for me. The bad guy said that he likes Corey, but he wishes that they would switch Barrett and Corey. I get it. I prefer Wade Barrett over Corey Graves too. However, I think they really like the dynamic on SmackDown right now, so they're not going to move Wade. Like I think that they want Wade to be like a permanent color commentator on SmackDown with Tess. Moving him to Raw is like doing too many moves that aren't necessary. Even though I agree, I do like Wade and Wade Cole's dynamic. But I do think that Graves is taking this opportunity to like prove that he's actually taking it a little bit more seriously, or he's like understanding that this opportunity can be taken away from him like that. And so I feel like he's doing his best commentary work right now. If that makes sense.
He's becoming a Swiss Army knife for the company.
And Trainer Red is glad that McAfee is gone because he's making it corny.
I am not.
All right, to this moment, which I was really hoping because we were on the go home show for Saturday night's main event as well as Evolution. Goldberg has not shown up despite reports claiming that he was going to be showing up to every Raw except for one. He has not shown up since the initial challenge happened, but he did on Raw this week. And much to my pleasure, he did hit Gunther with a right hand and stood tall. as the segment ended. That's what I wanted. I was begging for it. I was like, please do not have Gunther standing tall because I will be livid, because we know what that means. And it doesn't always mean that. I get it. However, my anxiety would be through the roof if Gunther had gotten some sort of hit on Goldberg, because I would be like, they're really having this dude lose, aren't they? But
no, I don't think that at all.
No, I'm saying if Gunther had stood tall is what I'm saying. I would be nervous about that. So I'm glad that it wasn't like that, even though there is, I guess, a chance that Gunther could
obviously.
Lose, but
what do you think of him evading the spear? Did you like that he didn't hit it then?
I kind of like it because that feels like something people want to see. So I think they want to hold off on that until he hits it on Saturday.
Yeah. Okay. I'm on that same boat. When it happened, I was like, okay, good. I don't want to see Goldberg spear him now. That's like Gunther's too smart for that. It's protecting them both, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think we're gonna. I mean, the best case scenario, I think, for anybody, even if you're not a Gunther fan, is that we see the stereotypical thing where maybe Goldberg, doesn't come out hot. Maybe Gunther comes out hot. Then we get the super Goldberg moment where you're like, oh shit, he actually has a chance. And then Gunther puts him away. I think that's the only way, but like puts him away and that allows him to still be standing at the end. You know
absolutely.
What I mean? So he can take that victory lap and whatever, and people will be proud of the effort that he made. But also being aware that you need to be putting the dude over, and that's Gunther winning. You cannot walk out with the title.
I can't sit here and seriously tell you the reason why Goldberg should leave champion. I just can't seriously do that.
No.
If I want to make some people mad, I got time, but
no,
those aren't my feelings.
Because this is something that I've talked about a lot, and I said that like wins and losses do matter because they impact people most of the time, and and of course there's a rhyme and reason for why people win and why they lose, or there should be a reason for why someone loses and why someone wins.
Yes.
And in an instance like this, there is no reason for Goldberg to win other than being like, oh yeah, he won in his hometown. That's not good enough reason, because there's plenty of places that they go and a wrestler is in their hometown and they do not win. Goldberg is 58 years old. We do not need to see him be a champion again. Okay. So like, no, losing would hurt Gunther beyond any understanding. Trainer Red says, do y'all think Brock Lesnar is going to make a comeback? Okay, this is nothing against you, Trainer Red.
The oddities are coming back before.
And this is nothing against you, but I will give you some advice. Okay, you've got to give up on the Brock Lesnar thing.
Gotta give
you have if like you love Brock Lesnar, by all means, brother. But the fact that he is named in that lawsuit with Vince McMahon means he's not coming back. Maybe if they settle or something, maybe down the road. But we also have to talk about Brock Lesnar being in his 40s at this point, so I don't know how much longer you would really give him or how much more he would want to do. Brock is not coming back. We've got to give up on Lesnar coming back. We've got to give up on the potential of Lesnar versus Gunther. It's just not happening. It's not. Oh yeah. Anthony says this reminded me of an old school Attitude Era segment. The car drove up to the arena, the split screen camera shot, the walk to the ring. It was good.
Like that's the mystique. That's the nostalgia of Goldberg. That's what
fit the vibe. Want. Well, and there's that argument of Gunther is like an old school wrestler.
Oh, he would have killed in the days of Harley Race, Arn Anderson. Ric Flair.
Yeah, that ain't happening. Okay.
Bruiser Bro.
Seth is cashing in on Cena or Cody.
100%.
Especially since Cody is now cast in the same movie as Roman Reigns. I think that he could beat Cena at SummerSlam, but then Seth cashes in and beats Cody, stomps Cody, so it gets him off TV so he can go film the movie. He can feud with Cena in the meantime, and then Cody comes back and we see that. That's my opinion. And also my hope. Yeah, he's totally lying. I think it's because they don't want to address the lawsuit and the severity of it and the ugliness of it, I think that this is trying to act like we don't know, like whatever, but we all know he was specifically named in this lawsuit. So like, as long as that's going on, they don't need that negative publicity, because that would be everywhere. That would be like TMZ shit. That's not just going to be like, oh, it's being talked about on the dirt sheets. No, this would be like national stuff, because that's the level that the lawsuit has gone to. And so if Triple H, TKO, whoever care about their reputation, at least in that regard, I know they don't care about it in others. If they care about it with this and they want to stay as hands off or as far away from this as possible, they'll keep Lesnar away. Yeah, they'll keep him away. Okay, then we get to the end, which I don't have a whole lot to say about this. But Penta continues his losing streak, which took a while, but I think it makes sense given what's going on right now. But Seth does beat him. But then it breaks out at the end, people are running away because LA Knight showed up. So they're definitely trying to fuel that between Seth and LA Knight before Saturday night's main event. And yeah, I mean, it was a fine match.
No, it was a great match. I have nothing. Yeah, I have nothing of real value to add other than I liked LA Knight running in at the end.
I love that he wears the same outfit every week also.
Oh, it's awesome. He just keeps it consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked to see him cost Seth the match to get Penta the win. However, with the story and we got to go 3 for 3.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Doesn't really mean much. Does it do anything really bad for Penta stock? No, not at all. He had a fantastic match with Seth.
And he main evented
Raw. The presentation of the entrance, I was watching and laughing to myself that AEW did what they did with him. And he comes over to WWE and is being presented like one of the greatest luchadors in the world.
Have you seen?
He is up there as one of the best in the world right now, but it's someone who's not a WWE fan, but a wrestling fan. That there's a whole other, there's so much more talent out there. It's all about the presentation.
Have you seen the AEW tribalists who have really said that he's downgraded by going to WWE?
Yeah.
That his presentation has downgraded, and they did a comparison. They were like, look at this when he was in AEW and his music, and they're like, he has such bad music in WWE.
See, all right,
whatever.
it's
I'm
not to me. Yeah, it's
no.
See, I like the song better, but that's just AEW? A personal. Yeah, it's just a better. I like the Cero, Miedo, and then just the whole song in general.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're thinking of an entrance,
yeah,
that's an entrance song. You hear that, Penta's coming out.
They turn off the lights. They give him a spotlight.
They give him fireworks.
Yes, yeah. So I'm like, you guys are just being haters. That's why I said tribalists. Because again, I don't know why that kind of thing matters. I mean, there are people who are still arguing about Blake Monroe going to WWE and taking a pay cut by leaving AEW.
Did you see what I quote tweeted? The video of the guy saying that it's ridiculous. Oh, I forget what it was.
I couldn't watch the clip because I've seen them on TikTok and they're miserable. So yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
I was like,
they're but that's the thing.
Do you not understand how this business works?
Anytime I have ever seen those guys on TikTok, they're always talking shit and they're just miserable. And the thing is in her case, not even that. In general, we've had this conversation before where we are not at the generation yet that is going to say, I grew up watching AEW and I always wanted to be a wrestler in AEW. We're not there yet. So a lot of the people who go to AEW, their dream is still to go to WWE. And so the fact that people want to just disregard that, as we're talking about Blake Monroe, Mariah May, why is it wrong for her to chase her dream, even if it did mean that she took less money? Why does that bother you? She always wanted to go to WWE, so she feels more fulfilled by being in NXT than any paycheck in AEW would have made her feel. And who cares? If you didn't like her in AEW, then why do you give a fuck what she's doing now? Who cares? She's living the dream that she set for herself. that should be something that you applaud enough. If you like the people in AEW and you like that there are people who will be AEW lifers, then support them if that's what like matters the most to you. I don't understand getting all worked up over something that doesn't mean anything. Like, who cares? There's going to be more AEW stars that probably jump ship to WWE because they dream about being on WrestleMania. Are you going to criticize them every single time? I don't get it.
Money doesn't buy happiness. And once people realize that, you live a happier life.
The people who realize that are people who have money. The people who don't know that are people who still strive to have money. So that's why it's like, those are guys that wish that they had the amount of money that she was offered, because they were like, I know what I would have done. No, you don't. And if you're talking about, we're still saying AEW is the minor leagues. And I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way, but if we're talking about major leagues, it's WWE. It still is. That's where they sit on the totem pole right now. So yeah, a lot of people see the growth that they can have in WWE and the stardom that they can have and how much more money and publicity and fame and whatever that can come from that. So Blake Monroe was like, all right, yeah, sure, I'm going to go to NXT. Then what? Then she's going to probably get a massive fucking contract to move to Raw or SmackDown. Like, stop. Who cares? But anyway, rant over.
Play the game, folks. Let's play the game.
And yes, they are.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Damn right it is. Damn fucking right it is. That's all we got. That was Raw.
Yes.
All right. And we'll be back tomorrow. All right. Got some family coming in this weekend. Sarah, I'm fucking excited for it. Gonna watch. We're not gonna watch All In. We'll watch Saturday night's main event because I thought All In was on Saturday. WWE.
Oh, yeah, no, it's on the same time as Evolution.
No, it's not.
It's not?
No.
Oh, it's the same day.
Same day. You're right. Yeah.
Okay.
But not same time.
Okay, then why are people freaking out?
Because, Sarah, welcome to the IWC. They freak out over little thing. All In is on at 3 o'clock. Starts at 3 o'clock. Or wait, hold on. I'm going to get my facts right. One starts at 3 and the other starts at 7. So, AEW All In start time. Yeah, 3:30.
On Sunday?
3 o'clock. Main card begins at 3 p.m.
On Sunday?
Sunday.
Because Anthony's saying Saturday.
All In?
Yeah.
I thought then it's on the same day as Saturday's main event.
Yep, it's on Saturday.
Okay, well, I'm wrong. Well, I don't know. We'll watch one of the two, and I'm excited for it. Depends on which one. I don't know. I'll let him choose. So, while I do that, you guys, the peeps, are going to tune in tomorrow, 7 o'clock, same time. We're talking All In. We're talking Saturday's main event. We're talking Evolution. And Sarah, I have actually been really getting into TNA again, which is like great for the soul. Seriously. I rewatched Slammiversary 05 and the King of the Mountain match. I want your thoughts on it. So I'm going to leave that for the 3 count because it might be one of the more creative match types in wrestling history that ideally seems like it should be stupid. Like while you're hanging a belt. But when done correctly, it actually works. So I'm going to put that in the topic bar now for the 3 count. And you guys are going to come back tomorrow to listen to that rant and a bunch of other shit that we talk about. Okay. So thank you guys for tuning in. Oh, fuck. We can't just leave without saying subscribe. Hit that bell notification to know every time we go live. Go check out our TikTok, No Nights Off Show, and go follow us on all our social media platforms at SMarshXO for Sarah on Twitter and my Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Patty Pitts. Thank you guys for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All you gotta do is try. See you tomorrow.